Hi everyone, it's Jen at Wakeland with Remarkably Created, and in this video we're going to take a look at an assortment of ways to play around with the woven golden leaves. I know I promised you 5 ways, but we're actually probably going to look at 7, 8, 9 of them as I had some fun playing in the studio today. So this is a really fun pack of embellishments. It was released with the Holiday Mini Catalog. You're going to have 75 golden leaves, and there are 2 different sizes. I keep mine once they're open, just stored because they're nice and flat in an empty stamp case. And they're going to have a bit of texture, and they are woven. And let's see if the camera will focus on that. Let me pick something up here, flip them over, lay it on that. So they are woven and they are open. So in other words, if you were painting over this, things would go right through it, okay? You've got the weave that's gonna pick up on things, but it does have an open weave, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and we're gonna jump right in. I have a whole stack of fun samples and ideas for you. So the very first one is very, very simple. And it's actually an idea that I shared as a reel a week or so ago. And it's just a really easy way to kind of add just a little bit of volume or just a little bit of kind of a more natural look to the leaf, just a little bit. We're going to just bend it up just a little bit. So we're going to take a glue dot, okay? And I'm actually this time around going to put one front and back because I want to be able to glue it down right away. And I'm just going to kind of pinch the leaves up just a little bit. You can also kind of bring it in, put your finger down inside and bring it in just a little bit. But what you're doing is you're creating this little kind of fold and curve or crease in the middle of it. So, and a glue dot will be perfect for that. And then glue dots are great for adhering these to your project. Then you'll be able to take it and let's just lift this one up just a little bit and we'll tuck this one all the way in and under. But this is the project here. Here you can see this one has a little bit of a crease in it. Here now you can see the crease on that one. And this one was tucked a little bit in deep, but it does have a crease. So very, very simple, easy thing to do, just adding that little crease to it. The next thing that you can do is you can easily change the colors of the leaves by using a blends. I did find as I did this that the darker the better. And again, you're going to find your glue dots coming in really handy for working with the leaves. Here, I'm just going to put it on a little piece of scrap paper just to kind of help hold it in place while I add color. I'm going to use the brush side of, in this case, it's the dark old olive. And now I can just kind of start to color on it. And again, I found that the darker really starts to change the color the most is, again, and you can see why you need that piece of paper because you're going to bleed through that. Now, the one thing I was curious about was whether or not by coloring it over, I could create kind of a really cool template or mask or stencil or something. And it really just ends up being a big old blob. And you can go over it a few times, kind of let it saturate just a little bit. Oops, I missed it there. So set it aside and let me bring in a gold one side by side so you can see that it is indeed a different color. So can you see the difference there side by side? And if you wanted to use daubers, if you wanted to use the brush tip of the Stampin' Right marker, if you wanted to actually just press them down into an ink pad, if you wanted to use a blending brush, those would also work. Again, what I found best is to go ahead and work with darker colors to get that greater variety, that greater showcase of a different color, okay? And of course with the blends, it dries right away. You don't have any issues with it being wet or anything like that. So you can easily add color to them. So that's something that's fun to do. Something else that you can do, these 2 cards kind of highlight that, is using your enamels. See how I added veins? So in this case, it's gold on gold. And then for this card, we did copper on gold. So let me show you that real quick. Let's pull the copper. And, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, she says. Okay, well I have a yucky kind of trashy one here and we'll work with that one. So you're going to want to work with either a scrap piece of paper underneath, or I like working with the silicone mat because then I can easily flake off any of this stuff from the silicone mat. And again, using a glue dot because I want to hold it in place, I'm going to just take the glue dot and I'm just going to press my leaf down. And we'll just do 3 of them real quick. And one of the things is I always just kind of give it a good shake. And then when you're working with the enamels, first off, you want to make sure that your tip is clear. And then you want to just have nice continuous pressure, okay? Just a nice, gentle, continuous pressure. And you can always practice just pulling just a little bit out continuously, okay, on a piece of paper. So I'm going to start at the tip, either end, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to pull down as far as I want to go. And then I'm just going to make my veins on my leaf. See, and I didn't get even pressure, which is, it's pretty forgiving actually. You can go back in, just do another one. And then you're just going to want to let it dry. So I would leave it on the silicone mat until it's dry. And then you have that glue dot, which means it'll just lift up really easy. And if any, for any reason, bled through onto the silicone mat, again, you're just going to be able to pick it right up and off. And you're going to have these really fun 3-dimensional leaves with the veins on them to work with. So you're going to have some fun there with those. So that's an option there for you. Then something else that you're able to do, and let me grab something here real quick, not going far, just want to grab the heat tool, is that you can actually emboss them. So if you look at this card, look at these beautiful leaves here. Okay, so you've got these beautiful leaves. And one more, you saw this with the birthday card here. This one we completely mushed down in the pad, and you'll see that in just a second. And this one I kind of did just a little bit of the tips. You can see where there's still just a little bit of the gold in the center. This was done with copper embossing powder, but when it's all heated, it definitely pulls some of those rose tones. And then here, this one was done with white. So let's take a look at doing something just like that. And I'm going to set these aside for just a second. So I have some copper powder. This is probably one of the oldest things in my studio. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator almost 29 years. And this is something that I made for customers literally when I first started and we were embossing. These are electrical clips. You can get them at any hardware store. And I took mine, I just bought a whole bunch of brushes from a dollar store so we could brush powder off or whatever. And this gives you something to hold on to. Yes, we also have the really nice little tweezers, but they do have a plastic tip that, based on the amount of heat you may be applying to do this technique, you could start to melt. So having that metal tip or this little electric clip really works well. So again, this is just something that I've had in my studio forever. You have your wet pads, your Versamark, you have your powder tray. So let's just start first by literally, we're gonna just mush. We'll do 2 at a time. And you're just gonna mush this the whole way in. And a lot of times when I'm mushing, I just grab my scrap paper. It was sticky, we'll have to clean there we go. So we're just gonna mush that in. Oh my gosh, it's still stuck to me. It likes me, I guess. And I'm gonna lay these down inside of my powder tray. And put that up away. I'm gonna grab my powder and I'm just gonna coat them. Okay. Shake it off. I'm going to shake it off. And we're going to grab our heat tool. Stampin' Up's heat tool has 2 settings, a low setting, slow, gentle heat, and a high setting. I'm going to use the high setting for quicker embossing, and you will have a little bit of noise for just a moment. If that bothers you, you may want to go ahead and mute for just a few seconds. But I'm going to just use this metal clip to kind of hold down this corner for just a second. And I usually hold my heat tool in place until I start to see a change happening. and then I move it along to get all of the powder. So, and what's interesting, for some reason, there's like little bubbles, almost like a chemical reaction that happens with the metal from the woven leaves. But it's a really cool, really pretty effect. So, if I hold these up, if you can see them, see how pretty that is? Let me lay this one next to it again for the contrast. So again, just mushing that down. And of course, if you've got other color powders, any of your different colors would work great with that. But this copper is just oh so pretty. And then to do just the edges like I did for this one here, I'll show you how I did that one. And we've got some more leaves to play with, woohoo! Those won't go to waste at all. So I have a little dauber here, okay? I've just got to left the powder in this pan for a reason. And in this case, I'm gonna go right ahead and clip this on already. And I'm gonna take my dauber and I'm just gonna apply Versamark around the edges. And make sure I got it. And then I can just dip it in here, knock it off, and if you look, you can see it's just around the edges. And we'll go ahead and heat that, and I'll show you something else that's fun. So we're gonna heat this up. Should go a little faster because we had it on and it was already starting to warm up. So, and I will flip it over sometimes if anything got to the other side. But while it's still hot, I'm gonna take it back into this powder. And it will pick some up, and I can add just a little bit more. But it's gonna give you a different look than embossing the whole one. You're just gonna have these really pretty edges on this. So let's let that one go, and let's bring in the solid one so you can kind of see the difference just a little bit. So in this case, we mushed the whole one down inside, pressed it in, and then sprinkled powder over it and heated it. In this case, I used a dauber to put a little bit of Versamark around the edges and just kind of gave it that nice, fun contrast. So again, back to that look. This is the one, and I'll be posting these samples during the week. So we've got a little bit of that two-tone happening there. And then for this one, we mushed it the whole way down into the white. And as you can see, you're not always going to get a perfect coverage. Now, if I wanted this to be covered, I probably could have mushed it back down into the Versamark, added some more powder. But I kind of like that it wasn't perfect, if that makes sense. Totally symmetrical, the same the whole way from tip to the bottom of the leaf. So that's just something there that's fun for you. So that's something else that you can be doing with your leaves. Then another fun thing that's actually relatively easy to do, and we'll save this powder. And what's nice about these powder trays, if you don't have one, well, I'll just finish it up now that I've started telling you about them, is that you can go ahead and easily put all that powder back where it belongs. So now it's up and out of the way, and we don't have to worry about it. So something else fun that you can do is you can mix and match die cuts with these leaves. We've got these beautiful leaves from Peaceful Season. This leaf here is from a new set coming, Hibiscus, so solid leaves, your fancy leaves. And again, I'm right back to glue dots, guys. I'm finding glue dots really work well because, of course, any liquid glue is going to go through the open weave, and you're going to be able to put that on top, or you're going to be able to take your leaf, and you're going to be able to kind of put it behind to soften the look of it here just a little bit. You're going to play with colors, so you can do, for example, if you want, this green is actually really pretty on the leaves. So you've got this beautiful green glitter happening with the leaf behind it. If you have any vellum left in your stash, vellum adds a really elegant, pretty look to it. So playing around with the different ones, and then that's how I did this card here, this wedding card. So kind of a little elegant, shabby chic look happening here. So we've got the die cut layered on. We also have a solid stamp layered on to the leaf. and then the different sizes and things on it. So you can layer die cut pieces together. You can also layer speaking of layering, so we've got, let me find it, of course, there we go. So you've got 2 different sizes. You can also layer the leaves to get a little bit of thickness. So you can, and then kind of this one, let's just do this one in just a little bit. So it pops a little bit more on top. But you can layer your leaves together as well for a thicker, fuller leaf if you want. Now, one thing that I did try that no matter how dark, just really never showed up well, but I want to show you here because I was experimenting and I want to point it out to you. Either maybe somebody else has another way of doing it that's worked for them, or just save yourself a few minutes and give you a what not to try, because I couldn't really get it to work. And I'm using dark old olive, but maybe working just simply with black, or I tried mossy meadow too and I still didn't get it. But what I wanted to do was freehand, like just draw veins on. And they're there, especially when they're with the paper behind it. So maybe if you had white cardstock that you layered behind it, but then you lose some of it. But watch what happens as I pick this up. And let's grab the card to hold it behind. It's there, but it's not there, if that makes sense, okay? But it is something to play around with and try using your marker just to add the veins, as opposed to using like your enamels and things like that. So then another fun thing I did in the studio today, something I haven't done for quite a while. It's one of those things where there's so doggone many things. When I first started, I used to tell my customers that I could come see them every single day for a year and never show them the same thing twice. And I firmly believe that I could do a video every day for 365 days and never show you the same thing twice. So this is something called embedded embossing. And what I did was I used one of those adhesive sheets, and I pressed the leaves into the adhesive sheets, picked them up, and then laid them down on a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock. And then I ran that through the Forever Plaid so that the leaves are actually pressed down. This is actually my dad's birthday card. He has a birthday coming up in about a week and a half. And so when I'm home visiting, I'll personally deliver this to him. And just something that has a little bit of a fall feel to it. And just something just a little bit different playing around. But we embedded those leaves in. So that's something else that's there and fun for you. And then I also did a little bit more playing, okay? I'm going to give you some literally maybe what not to do's, okay? Because sometimes the only way you learn is by doing, right? And by playing. And if you followed me at all for any length of time on my channel here, you know I love to always ask, what would happen if? I wonder if I could do that. What would that look like, you know? And I love finding lots and lots of uses for product, as you see here with the woven golden leaves. So many different looks from just this one pack of embellishments, right? So here, this is some new product debuting. We've got some beautiful new hearts coming on November 5th. Great stamp set. Look at this beautiful fun paper that's coming. But in this case, can you see the pink leaves behind it? Okay. What I tried to do with these leaves is, and I'm going to leave this one here, you can kind of see the outline just a little bit. I kind of wanted them shiny. And during my mingle last week, my customers were introduced to enamels. And I thought, wonder what would happen if I spritzed these with enamel. So I have a little bit of the red enamel in here with some alcohol, 90% alcohol. And I went ahead and I spritzed it. First, I did it on paper, okay? So I'm just going to spritz these down just a little bit. And what I found was it took a very long time to dry. I could never quite get it as vibrant as I wanted to. You can see the big puddle here where I found I had to use more than I needed. When I started on paper and I let them dry, it sticks to the paper, okay? So when you're pulling it up, which is why then I moved to the silicone mat, because again, I can, once these are dry and lifted up, I can pick all the enamel up off of that silicone mat. So it stuck to the paper, and that was absolutely not a good look for that, okay? But eventually I did get them to dry by using the heat tool on the low gentle setting. and just went ahead and let them dry. So while I had the enamels out and I was asking myself, what if? I said, what would happen if I painted them with enamel? And so in this case, I used the silver enamel. I squeezed little piles down on top of the leaf, and I went to painting, okay? Well, just like I did with spraying the paper, I had these on cardstock, and you can see where that's a really bad look, okay? Because the leaf just literally sticks hard enough that even you rip the leaf, okay? So if you're gonna do anything that's gonna be kind of sticky in any way, make sure you're using your silicone mat, because then you can simply pull it up. But the other problem that I was finding is, because this is an open weave, just trying to get, now these are going to be beautiful. This is going to be for a really pretty kind of icy holiday card. So these are going to work out just fine for using them, okay? But it did take a while to dry, and I had to paint the enamel on, and then I'll be able to remove this extra stuff from the sides. I'll pull all of that off and pick it off. But I ended up with some really pretty silver leaves. So that, like I said, it's gonna make a beautiful holiday card. So playing with a little bit of enamels, so-so of a look, okay? And then I thought, well, what would happen if instead of enamels, I tried Wink of Stella? And Wink of Stella will definitely sparkle them up a little bit. But what I found was you had to really look to see if it was sparkling any more than regular, if that makes sense. So let's turn this card over and lay this on. And I even tried spritzing it with the pearl mixed with alcohol to sparkle them up a little bit. And it does sparkle them up a little bit, and more so as it dries, but not really enough that for me to go, ooh, wow, what's going on there? I had to look. And I was only looking because I know what I had done to it, okay? So then a couple of other things, as I was playing, I asked myself, what else could we do? So one of the things that I did was I took my scissors and I literally just made slits into the leaves. And these ones I haven't turned into a card yet. But you can totally fringe up your leaf, so you can make some cuts into it and fringe it up and do that. The other thing that you can do is you can take some notches out, okay? So you can come in here and take some notches out of it, so it's not got those straight edges, so you can notch it out, okay? So you can definitely do that. And then let me bring the heat tool back in here one more time. And something else that's fun with these leaves, and let me get my little holder here for just a second, is because of the material that they're made out of, if you heat them long enough, they will start to curl up and kind of end up looking a little distressed, and it's really kind of fun. Oops, until you blow them all over the place. You can, for those of you with a glass mat, you can heat directly on your glass mat. It is tempered glass and it won't hurt it. I just happen to have this paper here because of some of the things that we were already doing. And you get to decide when it's distressed and mangled as much as you want it to be. But you're going to be able to kind of distress those leaves up and give them just some fun texture. Like they, here's one that I notched. So it's just got like a fun little crazy thing going on with it, all crazy. That I'll heat that one up too. Here was one that I did. Look at this one. Can you see that? Let me hold it up in the back of a card again. So you can just see with the heat how they kind of morph and change shapes, and you're going to be able to do some fun things. And again, I talked about notching them, so you can notch the leaf. This was one that I had notched, and so you could do all kinds of fun stuff with them, guys. There's so many different things that you can do. So as a review, you can paint enamel on them. You can embed them with embossing folders. You can layer them with dies, whether you layer them on top of dies or under dies, and whether you use an open die or a solid die, they work. You can emboss the entire shape. You can emboss just the edges. You can use your enamel to create veins on your leaves, as you see with these two here. and then you can alter the colors. I prefer to work with Stampin' Blends, but you can also press them down into an ink pad. You can use the Stampin' Write markers. You could use a brush over them or a dauber, and then you can simply pinch the edge to go ahead and give yourself that wonderful little crease, that little kind of hollow area that makes it kind of look a little more dimensional and things like that. So for 4 lucky people watching the video tonight, I have a pack of 12 assorted sizes. So there's a large and small, so you'll have 12 leaves in that little packet, and I have 4 that I'm giving away. So just make sure that you're commenting and following here on my page, and I will announce winners tomorrow evening, guys, give you a chance to watch these. So thanks so much for dropping in, and I hope you have some fun playing with woven leaves. And if you haven't added them to your order yet, you definitely want to scoop up some of these, especially on November 5th, when you're going to be tempted by the new product that's being released. Thanks, guys.